Welcome to the BBC Center. Little stories. So Keir Starmer speaks out for the first time since stepping down as Prime Minister just under a week ago. We'll have a little look at this into his special interview with our political editor Nick Eardley. Also on tonight's programme, insight into Iran shipping people on small boats immigrating from Iran. We'll have the latest. Also, England's World Cup round of 16 games against Mexico could be brought forward a couple of hours due to thunderstorms. We'll have the latest on that for you. Also, the murder of Larry McKean from his day after 3 men found not guilty of her murder. Also, we'll have the latest from the British Grand Prix for you. And also from the FIFA Men's World Cup. As Argentina go through Egypt winner penalties to go through Argentina are playing right now. With sports, with Ollie, no, with Jill Hill, sports minister, and program for you. The new club looks to become the new general manager. Talks began. Also, we'll have a very latest from Wimbledon. As well as noticed, most appears took place.
What day did you go to that chip shop?
I said yesterday. Welcome along to the program. Right. The UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has spoke out in a full interview just a week on since he announced he was stepping down as the UK Prime Minister. Articles as Andy Burnham said he is not going to call for a general election to become the Prime Minister of England. But it's a report now from a political editor, Nick Earley, since this report.
Why would the map master want to go to Oh, someone couldn't come back to the end and just tapped it.
Did you make a messy of it? Get it?
I think it came off someone's rubber foot. Let's see it again. Didn't it get deflected? Someone was on the ground.
Sir Keir Starmer has
Came off his back arse.
warned his probable successor as Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, that he'll have to spend just as much time as he has dealing with global turmoil during his time in Number 10. In an exclusive interview with the BBC, Sir Keir has spoken for the first time about what he called the intensely personal decision he took, alongside his wife and children, to accept that his political career was over. Keir Starmer has faced criticism during his 2 years as Prime Minister about the amount of time he spent on the world stage. Henry Zeffman has the story.
This weekend is Sir Keir Starmer's second anniversary as Prime Minister. There won't be a third. Speaking for the first time since he resigned, Britain's outgoing leader told me about the moment he realised his time was up.
Your wife was by your side during the last few weeks, which have clearly been very difficult for you. When was the moment that the two of you, I think as a pair, decided it was over?
Well, it was tough. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Really, really tough. As I grappled with what was the best thing to do for me, for the country, for the government. And those discussions inevitably start with many discussions with colleagues, with parliamentary colleagues, with the team here, with my immediate advisors, with trade unions, so many people in that discussion. But for me, and this may be different for other people, in the end, it became an intensely personal decision. And that's why it was a decision taken ultimately when Vic and I were away with the kids. We went to Chequers and just spent 2 days together as a family. And that's when I came to my final decision.
He's not just resigning as Prime Minister, but Labour leader too, a job he took after the party's worst defeat in 80 years.
The Labour Party arguably could have been lost. But I stepped up as leader, and with others, we saved the Labour Party. So yes, look, did I want it to end at this point in this way? No, I didn't. But I accept that with good grace. As I look back, am I proud of the fact that I picked the Labour Party up, turned it around, turned it back into electoral force, got rid of anti-Semitism in our party, ensured our party was trusted again on the economy, and on defence and on immigration, and won not just a general election but a landslide general election, and put in a shift of 2 years that has seen our economy stabilise, our public services improve, and our international standing in a completely different place. When I look back on that, I'm proud.
And a clear warning for his successor, he acknowledged that would almost certainly be Andy Burnham, about the importance of foreign policy.
And therefore, if you're Prime Minister and you care what bills are going to be like in any household around the country. You have to care about finding a lasting solution to the situation in Ukraine. You have to care about what happens in the Strait of Hormuz. It's not sensible to think you can just separate these two things out.
Because there are those in your party, and you probably know this, who think that the next Prime Minister could spend less time on diplomacy than you have. You're saying pretty clearly that's not possible.
No, I don't think it is possible. So this suggestion you could really, in the modern era, simply split up international and domestic is just, it just doesn't make sense. It isn't true. It isn't right.
This is Sir Keir's first attempt to frame what he sees as his legacy. He knows the debate about that is just beginning.
And Henry is with me now. Keir Starmer being unusually candid, Henry, and also we've heard tonight from Andy Burnham.
That's right, Jane. Just after Sir Keir Starmer took questions from me in Downing Street, the man many expect to be his successor was taking questions online on Reddit, and we learnt a bit more about what he would do as Prime Minister. He said that he wouldn't call a general election. He said he would seek to negotiate a returns agreement for failed refugees, including with Taliban-run Afghanistan. He said he wouldn't scrap the triple lock on pensions, saying, I appreciate there's a lot of debate about this, but it's important that the commitment in Labour's 2024 manifesto stands. And he also pledged to work for a closer relationship with Europe. Well, I asked Keir Starmer about Mr Burnham, who he pretty much acknowledged was his inevitable successor. He said he was just joking when he'd mocked Mr Burnham in the past and that there's no personal animosity there. In fact, he likes him. Well, to see that exchange and much else besides, you can watch the full interview on BBC Breakfast tomorrow at 8:15, as well as on YouTube and BBC iPlayer.
All right. Henry, thanks very much. Henry Zephyr.
What, it's a lot better here?
No, I said it might be.
Who knows which commune's better? We know from this time which one we stick with. You know that, right? Which does the better breakfast? That's on. I could put a vote for my own vote page. I don't know if I know whether. Don't know how many people need to vote for me. Who knows? People might have followed in, like lost sheep. And decide to jump ship and go to a different family.
No. And his friend is hanging on top of the Empire State Building.
In real life, Darren. I was actually quite shocked.
But anyway, they've been claiming the Empire, well, they're claiming some building in America.
Sir Keir Starmer.
What are you saying?
You're a shit face.
It's not nice.
Which bed? Which bed are you having?
All the pillows.
It's the one in the window.
The decent one.
Well, why wouldn't I?
No, just double checking. You're checking her.
I'm not checking her, am I? Her.
This is Gemini.
Her punk. It's Google Gemini.
You might have to get a buffer. Carry on talking about Gemini. No, I'm serious talking now.
It is Google.
You want me to get a train all the way back?
Yeah.
No, it would cost me much. We'll have to get.
Yeah, if you want later on, that's why it won't cost you much.
Her.
It was do, we don't have money, so you have to jump on it and hide in the toilet or whatever, and nobody can see the ticket.
Oh, because there's too many fucking.
Settle really well for me.
Oh my god. Oh,
I knew what. I knew exactly what to expect.
Where's the art of it?
Where's Alvarez when you need him? Okay, they might have dumped him on the bench, have they? Yeah, because all the thought about is that Chelsea idiot that's playing. It's not good enough. We should be on a sell straight to Real Madrid. What was that?
Why would it be since he's just come from Atletico? Well, he plays for Atletico.
I'm on about the Chelsea player that's back. How funny would it be if one football team had the whole Argentina squad? Oh God, it's too bloody together.
One next in a new Montreal.
What are you trying to do?
Ali Kazmi is right revealed in the heart of Tel Aviv, Tehran, as prepared for a 7-day funeral of latest.
We're in Engelab Square, so Revolution Square, in the heart of Tehran, and have just unveiled this new monument to the late Ali Khamenei, the late supreme leader of Iran, whose funeral begins now this weekend. That is his clenched fist with his ring on it, flanked by 2 missiles. So a symbol, if you like, of resistance and defiance after this 4-month war that has left Iran badly damaged, that took his life and the lives of many others, but has left his government still standing. So they are preparing now for what is going to be the mother of all funerals, going to go on for 7 days. On Monday, we're going to see millions of Iranians lining the streets here of the capital. His coffin will go past here, we understand, past any number of landmarks through the city, and Iranians will come out in numbers we've not seen since the funeral of the first Ayatollah, the first supreme leader, back in 1989. It's then going to go to Qom, south of here, big religious city in Iran. It's then going to go to 2 other religious cities in Iran, to Kerbala and to Najaf, before he's buried in Mashhad. Now, a lot of people we've been speaking to here are coming out and will come out to send him off, pay their respects. Some of the faithful we've spoken to say they're doing so because they want to honour a great leader, but also they say they want to see revenge.
Shahid Khamenei, Imam Khomeini, Imam Khamenei, Mojtaba Khamenei,
we were all sad. He was a great and noble man, and his death caused a lot of sorrow for us.
Is he a good leader for Iran?
Yes, excellent.
Tomorrow you will see that millions will be in the streets. He was a great leader. He was a father to all of us. He was a bad leader. I'm not going to go to his funeral. Another person said that she didn't like his Well, he probably liked Trump. Someone who likes Trump and Netanyahu and Pahlavi doesn't like Ali Khamenei.
You all are sad. You are very sad, but the fight is still going on. You know, you can't just be sad. You have to fight.
Who's winning?
Of course, us.
Who's that? Oh no, you just missed him. They're saying it's really Syria. What a lucky stadium.
Right, next night, England's round of 16 match against Mexico might be brought forward because where England and Mexico City fair forecast themselves and the shakes. The game was due to kick off at 1 AM, but they might pin it for a couple of hours. So England will take Mexico on Monday, 7 PM. You understand? As I reported, Portugal's president Ali Foster has this story from his Ali.
Yeah. Take your shoes off. No, do it, Tommy.
Oh, so finally. What took you 28 minutes?
Yes, he's on the scar sheet. It's the goat. Everyone knows the goat. On. Oh, that kid doesn't want to be on camera.
There you go. And
You got beat by the keeper again. If the keeper gets beat, he gets cooked. You know what they say? Keepers get cooked. Oh, what was that? Did your mother? No, no. Eh? Must be mad, these kids then.
he makes me laugh. has to be really, because there's no Liverpool stuff.
I didn't even know the Barcelona player was even on there.
Yeah, Son's on the advert. There's a song in Wrinkle. You don't always see that advert. Whoever's in them adverts, they're on the cups.
You can get any of them. Oh, what was that? Number 6.
Imagine how many McDonald's you would have to eat just to find them all.
You'd be fat, just like the
people you know what you're going to get. People end up having all these McDonald's meals and getting the same fucking one. What did I get?
Oh, come on, Wi-Fi. Are you okay, kid? I'm trying to get my Wi-Fi set up a minute. Why's my Wi-Fi not working?
It can get a bit dodgy, can't it?
Yes, we've been to 2. One could be crap, one could be bad. Whatever you do. No, it's everyone's a bunch of kids that probably like that. Oh, okay. Right, it's I've got no bars.
Fucking hell, man. Did you see what Djokovic did to the poor girl? He asked for a pair of scissors and asked her to cut off a tag off his clothing, and then he pulled back and she thought she'd cut him with the scissors. Yeah. And then she went and she said, "Oh no."
How is he that evil? What a horrible thing to do.
To add to our list, after we've been through
strike is detected within 8 miles of a stadium. A match can only resume after 30 minutes has passed since the last lightning strike, and that countdown resets if more inclement weather arrives. So not temperatures causing the problem. In fact, it's only going to be in the low 20s, we understand, for that England game. Not the high temperature, but rather the threat of lightning strikes. So the breaking news: England's face-off with Mexico in the World Cup could be moved earlier, potentially to noon local time, which would be 7 p.m. on Sunday. Let's go to our People and Politics correspondent, Nick Martin. Nick, not that long ago, you were in a pub speaking to punters about the fact that England fans were going to have to wait until 1 a.m. on Monday morning to watch this clash with Mexico. But we are now hearing that potentially, and of course a lot depends on weather forecasts over the next 48 hours, it could be moved earlier.
Well, what a roller coaster this is. I can't keep up, Jonathan, but, you know, it's all up in the air at the moment. But we have been talking a lot about this today. As you say, the original kickoff between England and Mexico was due to be 6 p.m. Mexico City time. That was going to be a kickoff of 1 a.m. and the early hours of Monday, and that got everybody talking because obviously it was so late, and what were we going to do? Were we going to stay up? Were we going to go to work the next day? Were children going to go to school? Then, after England progressed through to that stage, the government turned around and said, look, have a great time. We're going to lengthen the licensing hours so that pubs can stay open until 5 a.m. And everyone was like, well, this is brilliant. And then the police today said, well, hang on, this is all a bit short notice. And there was a kind of mini row between the body representing police forces and the UK. And the police said, look, we've only got a few days to sort this out. We might have to pull police officers from the community to try and police this in the early hours, and all the venues were gearing up to accept thousands of people in the middle of the night. And now a storm predicted to cross over the Azteca Stadium is putting all of that in doubt. And it now means that potentially that kickoff will start 7 p.m. UK time, which changes the whole complexion of this story. And now I suppose the big question now is what the government do if that turns out to be the case, because at the moment we've got an open door for pubs to stay open until 5 a.m. Will the Prime Minister have to come back and say party's over, we're going to go back to the original licensing laws? So absolute roller coaster of a story, and I'm not really quite sure whether I can keep track of it.
No, it's a very good point. Just to reiterate the breaking news then, England's World Cup last 16 tie with Mexico could be moved from its current 1 a.m. UK time kick-off. That game was scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. local time, but because of storms, as we've been saying, it could now be moved earlier. And actually, for many fans, this is good news if it does happen, because watching a game at 7 p.m. on a Sunday evening is perfectly reasonable. I think many people were having quite a hard decision over the weekend whether to stay up and risk being exhausted on Monday morning. And of course, there's also been a bit of a debate about whether school kids should be allowed to go to school a bit later if they stayed up to watch the match.
That's right, the England coach said, write them a note, let them off. And then Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, was forced to say, look, if they do watch the game in the middle of the night, please try and make sure that they get up for school in the morning. So, you know, the whole idea of the timings of this game has caused quite the debate in the United Kingdom, from schools to pubs opening to safety to policing. You know, it's really been quite an interesting turn of events, which makes the change of the time of the match really quite significant. As you say, a 7 p.m. kickoff on a Sunday is far nicer generally all round. Although I did speak to a lot of people in London today, mostly Aussies, gearing up to watch their game against Egypt tonight, and people were saying they don't mind watching it at that time. They were just going to treat it like a normal game. But, you know, the practicalities are obvious. If you're going to roll in having been to the match until 5 a.m., then, you know, that is going to have a knock-on effect for work and school, and, you know, can people get trains back? And I think that's one of the reasons why the police were initially concerned at the sort of last-minute notice of the government's change to those licensing laws. But I think if it does change, and we are waiting for confirmation of that, if the kick-off time does change because of this suspected or predicted storm, then I think generally all round that will be a better situation. But the question is whether the government have to intervene and say, okay, we're now scrapping the idea of opening pubs until 5 a.m, and that means we've come full circle again to the beginning. And pubs have already...
Rob, how's the weather looking? Well, the concerns about weather on Sunday. I've just flown into Mexico City from Atlanta, following the route of many of the England fans as their World Cup journey continues. But now there is some uncertainty for England, because Sky News understands that FIFA is in discussions about moving the kick-off time for England's match against Mexico. Here, Rob, how's... the weather looking?
Well, the concern is about the weather on Sunday. I've just flown into Mexico City from Atlanta following the route of many of the England fans as their World Cup journey continues. But now there is some uncertainty for England because Sky News understands that FIFA is in discussions about moving the kickoff time for England's match against Mexico here in Mexico City on Sunday. It was due to be on Sunday night at 7 p.m. local time, but now the new time that's been mooted is at 12 noon. Now, it's a concern about potential thunderstorms, which could cause flooding here in Mexico City, and that could potentially lead to delays in the game. So FIFA is taking this preemptive action to look at moving the match to earlier in the day. Now, the forecasts do show some concerns about potential thunderstorms in the afternoon, and that could impact things, particularly if the last 16 clash was to go into extra time and then penalties. And there will be concerns given the fact Mexico's game in the last 32 was delayed by an hour, the kickoff, due to thunderstorms here in Mexico City, and that has a knock-on effect. It means the game finishes much later. It poses crowd control issues for police as well, particularly as we saw the other day, huge numbers, thousands packing into the streets of Mexico City to celebrate their win. In fact, there were deaths from crushing that result, such huge numbers in the streets. So it's a very important crowd management situation the police need to prepare for, and particularly if there's thunderstorms that leads to flooding, it could be a particularly challenging situation. I was here 3 weeks ago for Mexico's opening match against South Africa, and that was also a lunchtime kickoff, and it was quite chaotic around the stadium in terms of dealing with the crowds and crowds getting away, and that was for a game finishing in the afternoon. So an evening kickoff poses particular issues, particularly when there's the potential for thunderstorms and flooding. Now, I understand the FA has no firm new kickoff time. They're still in talks with FIFA about what does happen, but FIFA can move kickoff times. We saw it last summer in the Club World Cup in the United States. That's 6 matches had significant weather disruptions. They'd already kicked off. There were delays. Some starts were delayed. So this is a very different move with FIFA looking at it 2 days out to try to address the situation. But it will cause some problems for fans if the kickoff is moved to 12 noon. There could well be fans who plan to fly in during the day to make it in time for a 7 p.m. local time kickoff, and now could miss the match or are trying to now rearrange their flights. Now, there is a knock-on effect very much back in England because all the last few days have been dominated by talk about pubs opening late, staying open into the early hours, because it would have been a 1 a.m. local time kickoff back in England, this 7 p.m. Kickoff in Mexico City. So I believe that would be 2 a.m. In England, if I'm getting my time zones right. So this will completely change the dynamic. Now, if it is a 12 noon kickoff in Mexico, it will be 7 p.m. in the UK, this kickoff time. So all this talk about pubs needing to stay open, the challenge for police back in England in particular, having to deal with all the issues of crowds into the early hours of the morning and being able to staff up themselves as police forces, well, that goes completely out the window. The legislation that they've had to rush through as a government will no longer be needed unless there are pubs that still want to enact it and say they'll stay open right the way through into the early hours of the morning. So a significantly more favourable kickoff time it would be back in England for fans watching there, but FIFA currently in talks about whether or not to move the kickoff time for England's last 16 match with Mexico in the Azteca Stadium to early in the day, potentially to 12 noon, to mitigate against the potential for storms and flooding in Mexico City, impacting things around the stadium, and also whether or not the match can even be played and whether it will be a very long delay, which would of course be necessary because it's ultimately all about the safety of the players and indeed the fans. But those talks, we understand, are still ongoing. It would have a knock-on effect as well for the other match on the day as well, because FIFA won't want an overlapping of those fixtures. But England are due to fly here into Mexico City later on today from their base in Kansas City. They are getting here earlier than usual due to a change in FIFA requirements to be here 2 days out from the match. England preparing for quite a historic match in terms of playing one of the great stadiums in the world, something they haven't done since 1986 when they played in the Azteca Stadium against Argentina and lost to Diego Maradona's side, the famous Hand of God match back then. But Still, we're waiting for a final word from FIFA about what happens to this match. Something else I've learned that impacts this game. Sky News have revealed that FIFA actually warned teams ahead of this World Cup about the potential for players to be potentially contaminated by meat here in Mexico, which could lead to failing doping tests. So that's something of particular concern as well here as England prepare to land, about being cautious about what meat they eat and ensuring it's not contaminated with clenbuterol, which is used in cattle to reduce fat and maintain muscle mass. So that's another thing that England are having to consider to ensure their players don't inadvertently fail doping tests and have to argue the case that they unintentionally actually had the infected meat. So many challenges here that impacting Mexico City and the World Cup. Part of the challenges you can get at a World Cup, but we're waiting to hear final word as FIFA are in talks about whether or not to move the Mexico-England match to an earlier kick-off to 12 noon on Sunday.
Stop trying to ruin Stevie.
No, I'm sorry, but that's just...
Stop doing Stevie G.
Scunthorpe fans were probably standing that longer than that was even with Steven Gerrard song. Like, keep it off now.
As I look back...
Now, Sammy Motwell, well, our correspondent Jim Reid has been...
Echoes of
a desire to ensure...
Definitely a very...
all around the arena and barricaded zones. It's a city, and we just have...
Oh yeah,
Well, let's get a little more from Sammy, who is there. So just first, what is the very latest that you're actually hearing on all this, Sammy?
So, as we speak, England are currently in the air from the Kansas City base.
News from the World Cup.
Charlie, look at Mum. No, there's no pizza Hut. Not many. Town. We ain't got Youngstown. We're in McDonald's. Look, turns it again.
You ready?
It's cut off. So I'm sorry. No. Ready? No. Michael's got a good king. I think they've gone bananas over here. You know you want to see it. It's nearly 24.
Henry, thanks very much. Henry Zephyr. Well, now we turn to our other main story tonight because we've had developing news from the World Cup. England's match with Mexico could be brought forward. FIFA is understood to be discussing a new kickoff time of 7 o'clock Sunday evening UK time. The match in Mexico City had been scheduled for 1 a.m. on Monday UK time. But weather forecasts suggest there could be thunderstorms around then. Well, let's go straight to Mexico City. Our football correspondent Sammy Motwell is there. Sammy.
You know what they were doing?
Jane, I've been to 6 major tournaments covering England. This is without doubt one of the most extraordinary stories I've ever reported on. England faced Mexico in the World Cup last 16 on Sunday. That's 2 days' time. And as things stand, they still don't know what time they're going to be kicking off the game. And Sarah Dawkins here brings you the latest.
Welcome to Mexico City, where the countdown for the round of 16 is on. But for fans here and at home, kickoff may now be sooner than expected. Despite the sun shining today, the threat of thunderstorms and heavy rain means Sunday's game could now be brought forward. This This isn't the first time extreme weather has affected this tournament. A group stage match between France and Iraq in Philadelphia was delayed mid-match by more than 2 hours due to storms. And at last summer's Club World Cup in the United States, there were 6 major weather delays. While FIFA has not yet confirmed an explanation, tournament safety rules say any lightning strikes detected within 8 miles of the stadium result in an automatic 30-minute delay to play. And under FIFA regulations, it has the right to cancel, reschedule or relocate matches for any reason at its sole discretion. England train today at their base in Kansas City and will travel to Mexico City this evening. And the squad are insistent this will not affect their preparation.
It doesn't matter, it's a game of football at the end of the day, and it might be a small adjustment that we need to make, but in the end it doesn't change our outlook on the game and what we're trying to do.
You always want to just play the game when they go, so probably if it's early, it'll probably help us with just getting that adrenaline out there and getting playing and getting going.
Weather disruption is not the only challenge that awaits England here. Sitting over 2,000 metres above sea level, the Estadio Azteca looms large in the city, providing an atmosphere so special it's described by the team's manager as their 12th man. It was a nervy wait for England fans in the round of 32 against DR Congo before captain Harry Kane produced some sparkle to keep them in this tournament. For a place in the quarter-finals, the Three Lions will be hoping for some Mexican magic on Sunday, whatever the weather. Sarah Dawkins, BBC News, Mexico City.
Well, let's get a little more from Sammy, who is there. So just first, what is the very latest that you're actually hearing on all this, Sammy?
So, as we speak, England are currently in the air from the Kansas City base, so will be arriving here in the next 3 hours into Mexico City. But amid those travels, amid that flight, they actually don't know what time they're going to be kicking off. That is an extraordinary situation to be in. So as things stand, FIFA, along with the English FA and the Mexican FA, are in talks about changing the kickoff time, and it's related to forecasted thunderstorms that are due to take place here in Mexico City at the time of the original scheduled game, which is at 7 o'clock your time in the UK. Because of the safety issues, because of the possibilities of security and safety and the knock-on effect the thunderstorm could have on that situation, FIFA have proposed that the game be brought forward by 6 hours, so that would be kicked off here, local time, at 12 o'clock. Now, as we stand, there is still no clarification from FIFA as to whether that's going to be the case. I spoke to the FA this morning around 12 local time, and when I spoke to them, they had no idea that this was even an ongoing process at FIFA. They obviously since heard that this is a possibility, and they will hopefully land here in Mexico later on this evening to the news and confirmation of what time their game will kick off.
Okay, extraordinary. Sammy, thanks for now. Sammy Motwell. Well, our correspondent Jim Reid has been out and about talking to fans and getting their reaction tonight. But first, let's talk to Ben Rich from weather, because it's all about weather, it appears, Ben. So what could be happening?
Well, Jane, daily thunderstorms are not unusual in Mexico City at this time of year. It's kind of how the weather works there. You have a dry start to the day and then the thunderstorms erupt. But forecasters suggest the risk on Sunday is particularly high, and if those storms do develop, they also could be particularly severe. It's because the Mexican government forecasters say there will be troughs, small-scale areas of low pressure high up in the atmosphere, making the atmosphere very unstable. And then when the sun heats the air close to the ground, well, because of that instability, the air will rise and form the big cumulonimbus clouds that give us thunderstorms, and that will become more of a feature as the day goes on, so towards that later evening kickoff time. The storms could bring lightning and the risk of hail as well. So moving the kickoff earlier, before those storms have really got going, could mean the match is able to happen before those thunderstorms really kick off, although it's not guaranteed that there wouldn't be any around at that earlier time. Any other impacts on the players? Well, temperatures actually earlier in the day would be a little bit higher, but the humidity could potentially be a touch lower.
Okay, really interesting. And Jim, well, you've been talking to fans. It could be at a rather more sociable time of day. What are they saying to you?
Yeah, Ben was talking there about the impacts on players, but the impacts on fans and the impacts on pubs as well, Jane, is quite important. You might remember the government said yesterday it would allow pubs to open late until 1 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning for the end of the game. Then the National Police Chiefs Council came through this morning criticising that decision, saying they didn't really have enough time to plan for that kind of contingency. We've been speaking to fans at the Gunners pub in North London just a few minutes ago, a few hours ago, asking them about this potential change to a 7 o'clock kickoff on Sunday night.
Everyone can come out and celebrate the game, you know, and it's going to be fantastic.
I think it's good. I think it's brilliant. I mean, 1 a.m. is crazy. It's on a Sunday night. People got kids, got to go to school. We've got jobs, everything. So 7 p.m. is brilliant. Watch the game, can have a good time. Get home at a reasonable time. Yeah, it's good.
More sore heads in the morning. It's just longer for us to be in the pub. But better, miles better. And we won't have to keep dragging people out of bed to go to work in the morning.
And of course, pubs, Jane, could be facing a huge day, a huge night there on Sunday night. Prime time viewing for this England game on Sunday night, and also, you know, people drowning their sorrows or hopefully celebrating a victory against Mexico.
We will see. Thank you very much. Jim Reed, Ben Rich, thank you. And Ben will be back later, of course, with our regular weather forecast at the end of the programme. Well, in tonight's round of 32 match, Egypt eliminated Australia in Dallas. Egypt took an early lead.
So what we're going to do about tea time?
Yeah, we'll just
Find somewhere to eat.
We're having too much smoky.
Really?
Oh, you disappoint me, girl.
Next night's for murder.
Thank you, darling. You're a father, aren't you?
Murder. 3 men are found not guilty of murder journalist Lina McKee. Mrs. McKee was shot in the head when a masked gunner fired towards the police during a riot in April 2019. Written said Paul and Peter and Jordan Devon assisted and all encountered the gunman. They had detained for charges.
When was that born again? Mr. Bobby! What is it? 9. What is it? Come on now, Keegan. Would it been born? 1992. Oh, how old would it be? So my dad used to Bobby then.
From solid workbenches to colour-coordinated storage cabinets, shelving, tool storage, and even flooring, cold matches, it all fits. So
I've got that website.
head to bigdog.co.uk.
3 men have been cleared of murdering a journalist on a UK street. The family of Lina McKee were left in tears at the verdict. Some walked out. After all, this has been a long, painful journey to justice.
This is not over. Lyra said if you're going to go down fighting. And I can tell you right now that every one of my family will.
This was the chaos and rioting in Derry, Londonderry, that was punctured by the sound of gunfire 7 years ago. The victim, journalist Lina McKee, reporting on the carnage all around. She took a bullet to the head. Police later recovered the firearm. The man who pulled the trigger has never been traced. For a nation craving answers and detectives desperate to track who was behind it all, eyes fell here on Belfast Crown Court. In a trial lasting 2 years, 3 men stood accused: Paul McIntyre, Peter Kavanagh and Jordan Devine. Accused of murder by accompanying and encouraging a masked gunman, but the judge here found them not guilty. The so-called New IRA previously claimed responsibility for this attack, a dissident Republican group whose supporters do not believe the landmark peace deal that put an end to Northern Ireland's decades-long sectarian conflict. They apologised and said Lyra wasn't the intended target, but they used the 21st anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement to murder Lyra and trigger what police called a new breed of terrorists. The question now looms, will anyone ever be brought to justice for the murderous violence of that night? The witnesses who watched what unfolded were offered anonymity in a criminal trial with no jury, an indication of the fear that still hangs in the air. Lyra McKee once wrote that her home country is a beautiful tragedy, strangled by the chains of its past and its present. Her own death and this verdict today is a stark symbol of that struggle, as the quest for answers enters a new chapter.
Okay, again, please.
God's sake.
Oh, it's Liverpool.
Fifties around the world, they're keeping their eyes on Madison Square Garden in New York after fifties.
Finally tonight, Taylor Swift prepares to NBA star Travis Kelce's fate continue as we believe a fair wedding is taking place at New York City Madison Square Garden Stadium.
I think that was kind of silly, but...
Fifties around the world, they're keeping their eyes on Madison Square Garden in New York, as indeed we are. It is where wedding festivities for Taylor Swift and the American football star Travis Kelce are reportedly set to take place on Friday. Now, city authorities have confirmed road closure permits around the area, while the mayor, Zohran Mamdani, cheekily suggested that the city was hosting a World Cup match on the same weekend as Taylor Swift's wedding. Now, that's not confirmed. The couple not confirming any details about the wedding. Speculation, however, is brewing. Neda Tawfiq is in New York.
On Thursday evening, all efforts were made to hide those arriving in Midtown Manhattan at the rumored location for the most anticipated celebrity wedding celebration in recent U.S. pop culture history. Such is the secrecy and mystery surrounding global superstar Taylor Swift and football champion Travis Kelce's Big Bash. Reportedly, around 100 close relatives and friends attended a pre-party to kick off Swift's bridal era before a much larger celebration tonight.
Is Taylor Swift really getting married here at Madison Square Garden? All signs point to yes, despite its lack of curb appeal. And fans have been coming down to get a look for themselves.
We're just scoping out everything that's going on. We're trying to see if we can catch any glimpse of anything of this royal wedding. I just had to come see what I could find out for myself. There's so many rumors around this, so I wanted to see, if it's possibly true.
And it's definitely really inspirational to see where she's come to, and it makes me really want to be there and see everything going on.
You can see that barricades are up all around the stadium, street closures are in effect, and there are hundreds of police all around the area as well.
1,000 people from the world of entertainment and sport are invited, the BBC understands, to today's festivities. One New York tabloid suggested the pair may already have exchanged I-do's privately beforehand, but that hasn't been confirmed. Those spotted arriving in New York leading up to the event include Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Graham Norton.
I just mean that I was going to invite you to it.
He was told by the pop star during her appearance on his show that he would be included on the long guest list.
If you're inviting me, it's very big.
For days, the hive of activity and deliveries to the stadium have been catalogued for any clues. It looks like lobster is on the menu, and the theme might be garden party, with rumors of a castle being built inside surrounded by trees. A similar version, perhaps, to the pair's engagement. They released professional photos of the proposal in a joint social media post last August, having been together since 2023. New York has hosted a whole range of iconic major events. It increasingly looks like the city is adding Taylor Swift's wedding to that list. Neda Tawfiq, BBC News, New York.
So it is not confirmed, but the news agencies are offering that live shot of Madison Square Gardens. It's 3:24 in the morning there, so something is obviously happening. KJ Matthews, entertainment journalist, is following this.
Well, what I will tell you is that everyone's talking about the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce wedding, except two people. Taylor Swift.
I feel like that's party.
Unless you wear a stupid rubber sock, you can't get in it. Because you can just transmit it all over the place. And if loads of people end up with it, they'll really like it.
Can you press my German shorts down here, please? Ciao.
That's what I said. You've got one, you've got to wear socks.
I'm thinking, condom is all the way when
What, you've got to wear a rubber sock?
You can be saying it in a different way, isn't it?
No, it wasn't. I'm saying you've got to wear a rubber sock or everyone's getting it.
What? Rubber sock?
Yes, you've got Faruqas. Yes.
Can you press my shorts down here, please?
The thing is, you can transmit it. It can be picked up by other people. It's viral. It's viral effect.
Can we press my shorts down here?
Yeah, you can tell about this father. He can be weird sometimes.
Joey, pass my shorts.
You can't put it. She can't believe. Oh no, speed.
Oh my
clouds that give us thunderstorms, and that will become more of a feature as the day goes on, so towards that later evening kickoff time, and the storms could bring lightning and the risk of hail as well. So moving the kickoff earlier, before those storms have really got going, could mean the match is able to happen before those thunderstorms really kick off, although it's not guaranteed that there wouldn't be any around at that earlier time. Any other impacts on the players? Well, temperatures actually earlier in the day would be a little bit higher, but the humidity could potentially be a touch low.
Okay, really interesting. And Jim, well, you've been talking to fans. It could be at a rather more sociable time of day. What are they saying to you?
Yeah, Ben was talking there about the impacts on players, but the impacts on fans and the impact on pubs as well, Jane, is quite important. You might remember the government said yesterday it would allow pubs to open late till 1 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning for the end of the game. Then the National Police Chiefs Council came through this morning criticising that decision, saying they didn't really have enough time to plan for that kind of contingency. A 7 o'clock kick.
It's on a Sunday night, people got kids, got to go to school, got jobs, everything. So 7 p.m. is brilliant. Watch the game, have a good time, get home at a reasonable time. Yeah, it's good.
All sore heads in the morning, it's just longer fun to be in the pub. But better, miles better. And we won't have to keep dragging people out of bed to go to work in the morning.
And of course, pubs, Jay, could be facing a huge day, a huge night there on Sunday night. Prime time viewing for this England game on Sunday night, and also, you know, people drowning their sorrows or hopefully celebrating a victory against Mexico.
We will see. Thank you very much. Jim Reed, Ben Rich, thank you. And Ben will be back later, of course, with our regular weather forecast at the end of the programme. Well, in tonight's round of 32 match, Egypt eliminated Australia in Dallas. Egypt took an early lead through Imam Ashur, their first goal in a knockout stage match. It took Australia more than 40 minutes to equalise through an Egypt-owned goal. No goals in extra time, took it to penalties, but then Sakiris missed 2 spot kicks, allowing Egypt's Hossam Abdul Majid to slot home the winning spot kick. We move away from the World Cup, and 3 men accused of killing journalist Lyra McKee in Northern Ireland 7 years ago have been found not guilty. Paul McIntyre, Peter Kavanagh and Jordan Devine face a joint enterprise murder charge. Lyra's death sparked worldwide condemnation after the 29 Gauls were shot while
I
watching a
wouldn't want
riot
to do that.
in the
On
Cregan area
TikTok,
of
what you
Derry.
do.
The then Prime Minister Theresa May and Taoiseach Leo Varadkar both attended.
Before that, but I'm feeling good, and now momentum feels like it's with us.
For last year's winner and reigning world champion Lando Norris, it's been a season to forget, having failed to win any of the 8 races so far. But nowhere does Formula One's passion burn brighter than here at Silverstone. And it's the combined efforts of the British drivers that could give them plenty to cheer. For the first time in 58 years, we saw an all-British podium 2 races ago in Barcelona, as Lewis Hamilton won his first race for Ferrari. No driver in the sport's history has ever won a single race 10 times, and he could reach that figure this weekend.
But according to Hamilton, Silverstone will feel a very different circuit this year. With a 50-50 split in these cars between battery and engine power, it's expected speeds will be affected around what is traditionally a very fast circuit.
The long straights mean the cars will be low on battery power and won't run at full speed at key points in the race. But having qualified in pole position for tomorrow's sprint race, Hamilton's proved he might just deal with those challenges better than most. With over 500,000 spectators expected this race weekend, it will be the highest attendance in the sport's history. As Silverstone continues to hit new milestones, will it be Russell or Hamilton who can deliver another?
Get my jammers
John Watson, BBC News, Silverstone.
It's weather time as promised. Ben Rich is back. Hello.
Thank you very much. There could be another heat wave.
I'm sad to think sometimes when it's not your team involved, like you say, it's always more fun if it's. If he lets a goal in, then you're like, oh no, you can't be complete knowledge, Martinez. You're Argentinian goalkeeper for a reason.
I'm coming out down.
Well, the prospects,
I am.
not just of penalties, but a penalty shootout specialist, Matt Ryan, coming on for the shootout. Can he be the hero? We'll have to wait and see.
Big shoulders for a big occasion. This is a captain's moment.
Such a totemic figure for this Australian team. Ever since making his debut, switching allegiance from Scotland. Harry Souttar up against Mustafa Shabir to get this penalty shootout underway. Souttar misses by some distance. Not a good start for the Socceroos.
Well, I wasn't expecting a kind of stuttering piece of finesse or anything like that. I knew it would be a really firm penalty, but it's the leaning back element. It's gone for the roof of the net, and that is sailed over the crossbar.
So our first glimpse of Matt Ryan for Australia came on in the dying seconds of extra time in order to participate in this penalty shootout. And so, just like his opposite number here, Mahmoud Soba, I'm not sure he's had a touch yet. He was brought on for this specific occasion. Special teams coming on to take this penalty to get Egypt on the board. Soba. Well, Ryan went the right way, but it just had too much power. Egypt have the advantage.
That is what happens when you use power, even if the goalkeeper goes the right way. And Ryan, that is a good dive. Gets all the way across to the post, but it's such a well-hit penalty that it takes it into the back of the net. Really good strike from Sober.
Charging that overnight.
Jackson Irvine
No,
next up for Australia.
So, yeah, but you need to charge it before you get home tomorrow.
Really, if this doesn't go in, it puts Egypt in a commanding position in the shootout. It's Irvine. Real composure with that one. Just lifting it into the net.
Lovely pen. That is cool as you like. Waiting to see the goalkeeper, strokes it right in the corner.
Australia on the board. And next up for Egypt, Rami Rabia, who had a big chance to win it. Pulled or drew a very good save from Patrick Beach.
Interesting. There's two centre-backs in the pecking order in the first two penalties for either side. We see what happened to Souttar's one. Can Rabia stick this one in the back of the net?
Yeah, but turn it off, but I'll put it up. Turn that top off, I'll charge it.
Rabia sends Ryan the wrong way. Again, a real calmness with that strike.
Because my Egyptian side.
That's a penalty that you are just glad to see that go in. Ryan goes really early.
It's not
the most amazing penalty in terms of in the corner. It's low. It's on target, and Ryan had gambled to his left really
Because my
early.
judge was a left and it's going to bad for us.
Substitute Awa Mabil, who got his first minutes of the tournament as a substitute in this game. Nerves are jangling. Mabil. Again, such confidence. And a huge relief.
Well, his eyes on the goalkeeper. Never takes them off him really. Just looks at Ryan, thinks, okay, which way you're going to go? You're going to dive and just waits for a little bit of body shift and then just strokes it. Central but low.
Salah on Egypt's third penalty. Didn't want to wait to maybe not have a chance later on. Struggling with a hamstring injury, he's played the full 120. One of Egypt's greatest ever players. It's a chance to get them a stranglehold on this one. Oh, how about that? Don't need a hamstring for that one.
Wow. And a little chuckle to himself says a lot. I mean, looks like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders in the build-up. A big exhale in the run-up, and then that. I mean, you are banking on that right.
Yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh.
You should. Get him out there.
Really? Why are you getting struck?
Look at his badge on. It's got his hair done, look. Not in this.
I can't believe all Fernandez could do was just shrug as if he were like...
Can Matt Ryan get close to this one? Abdel Maquid sends Egypt into the last 16 of the World Cup. 4 out of 4 on the penalties. Another piece of history for the Pharaohs. Their first win of the World Cup. And now they continue their journey into the round of 16.
It happens in all better, doesn't it? After a certain amount of time,
Squadrons Egypt, and it's 1-1 between in a team's game. Messi Social Squad was 1-1 in that game. That's annoying. I see that game.
Yeah.
I get like that all the time.
I might have a good one in the morning before I go home. If I need to, my dry skin in there.
I know, that's what I'm just saying.
I'll see you soon, bye bye.